Peer into the future, for here is the future. Imagine a day when people who live in the countryside have high-speed internet.
Starnet.
I don't think that's what it's called, but something similar to that. It's called Starlink, isn't it?
Oh, shit.
Right. Silence.
Well, Starnet is probably the internet.
Silence! Peer into the future. Peer into the future when country bumpkins can surf the internet at high speeds. Now, I'm joking, but I'm not joking. Because think about this. This is one of the big parts of the rural divide. Give me my lighting. One of the big parts is not having access to the internet. No? I mean, that is a big part when you live in the countryside. And if we assume that is there a tag in this cloak?
I don't know what you're doing. You are truly, your cloak looks like a rain jacket now.
Fuck.
Yeah, where my parents live.
I'm trying to make a good point.
Place, I can't even watch Netflix there because the amount of internet that we get is like, how do you say, rationed? The internet is rationed out to us. And if you go over it, you have to pay extra. Can you imagine? It's really
because I have lived there.
I really don't like that.
I can't
That's
imagine.
the one thing that makes it very hard is like, I need to watch movies. You know, you can't watch a fucking movie.
Wow.
For Christ's sake, I don't chop up bodies like Leatherface for fun. I need to do something to relieve my stress and anxiety. I can't even watch a damn movie. What I have to do, make puzzles, whittle figures from wood or something?
I have whittled in my youth. I have done it. A small pocket knife and you whittle a stick, you know?
Shit, I want to fucking whittle a stick, but I also want to watch a movie sometimes, so it's a problem. Look, get the fuck together. Put your cloak on, make the prophecy, and let's get going. We need to get to something else.
The prophecy.
LBJ.
The prophecy is that Starlink, or whatever it's called, satellite internet is coming. Now listen, I know it was a kind of a joke, and this is a failed wardrobe and all this, but here's a serious point. If the economy actually does, if the economy is based on information, whatever you want to call it, the information superhighway, then I actually predict a fairly large change taking place economically and politically when people, remember 20% of people in America, 1 out of 5, live out in what's characterized as the countryside. Now imagine when they have high-speed internet. Imagine both the glories and the horrors of what will happen when the countryside is illuminated more so, you know, and these different cultures, because they're two different cultures. There's more than two. There's a bunch of different cultures. I actually think that it's going to be. I think it's going to be a substantive change.
I mean, do you think they're really kept off the internet that much? Like they really don't use the internet that much?
Well, it was okay. So when I lived in Texas, the best thing I could get, and this was let's see, up to 2012 roughly. So that was like 9 years ago. But anyway, like you couldn't get anything. Because you have to understand, cable lines don't run down rural highways at all. So you can't get cable internet. I had to use this thing that was just some guy made up, his company. He made up this company. And it was him and like this kind of like cousin of Leatherface, helper or whatever. And they did the internet around there. And they set up a system of like these things in trees that shot signals back and forth that would then, they would have they had to focus it in on your particular address to get you a thing. And so, I mean, yeah, it's pretty bad. Like it doesn't really work. You couldn't, and I don't know what it is now, but it's not great, you know, like.
Elon Musk is going to bring the countryside to the modern day with Starnet. I wonder how much that would affect the culture of the internet, because the internet is super kind of lefty, you know, and like all these tech companies, they're clearly lefty. So if you have all these rural peoples migrating to the online world and they can be there all the time, I mean, sorry, that's probably not good for them. Like that's probably why they're in some ways more sane at this point in some ways. But it'll be interesting to see what happens then, because that's going to be a culture shift on the online world if it's really that much of a significant hindrance that people in rural places are being kept offline so much.
You just told me you know that it is, and even in your limited experience, when you visit the ranch of your parents and you try to
No, but I
watch
can use
Netflix,
social media. I just can't use Netflix. Like we have internet, but
but you couldn't
it's
you couldn't do a
slower.
podcast. Like we couldn't do a
No,
podcast if you
we
'cause you can't
can't.
upload. You have no connection.
You're
So I'm
right.
telling you that there's a bunch of things that just because of the speeds
That's
and the
true.
availability and the cost, because the cost is a lot higher also
Yes, it
with that
is.
stuff. And like you said, it's metered, obviously. When there is
Yeah.
unlimited and faster internet this is my prediction. When that day comes, however that day comes, I think that you're going to see a change. I think that and maybe it won't be massive, but there'll be a change when that happens. I mean, information technology, the speed of the internet, all this is instrumental supposedly to new economic growth. And I mean, I think it
Hmm.
is.
Yeah, that would be
Now,
really cool to see, like if rural people can start using the internet more to really like start creating things more in the way that the left has always been to, creating podcasts and all that shit. Like I wonder how much that hinders culture for people in rural places. Like if they're not able to make podcasts and make YouTube videos and all of this in the same way that it's so easy for people that have like, you know, high speed and unfettered access to internet, that'll be, that's a loss. And there is an economic aspect to that people can be using that for their business. That's a way to make money. And rural places often suffer from lower economic standards generally. So if they were able to kind of connect to the global market more readily, who knows? I mean, there's another prediction here, which is I absolutely believe you're going to start seeing people from the city try out country life. I'm already on that tip. I want to get the hell out of this papers, please dystopia. There's like needles on the ground and like every corner smells like piss. Why? I don't, it's fine. It's fine for now. But ideally, because I'm not tied here for a job, why not live in a place where you have more space? You have nature outside. You have a yard. Like it's so nice. So I have a sense that people are going to start realizing that now that we're able to work online so much more, and now that online is becoming more available in places outside the cities that it maybe was not before in the same way, that that option is now available in a new way. Now, of course, there are a lot of drawbacks that I don't know if city people are ready to give up, like Postmates and shit like that. And rural places do not always have the best restaurants. That's one of the true struggles, is that cities, you have great fucking food and you have so much of it and you get it delivered to your house. So there's all these little, that's city living. Like that's actually one of the legitimate things that you get in a city. So you have to give that up to live in a truly rural place. Like with my parents, there ain't no Postmates. The restaurants, there's a few good restaurants, but they don't even compare to like an average restaurant in LA. And they're more expensive too, because they're like the ritzy restaurant of the rural place, and they're still on average to like LA or Miami even. So I don't know. We'll see if the city folk want to weather losing their Postmates